Hi, I'm Deborah Meaden and welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Deborah Meaden, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm very excited to have you on my show and honoured too. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning. You grew up in Taunton in Somerset. As a kid, you wanted to do horse riding, I believe, and you still love horses now as an adult. How many do you actually own now?
Well, it's an ever-moving number, actually, because most of them are rehomes or rescues. But at the moment, six maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, six plus one that my sister and I never quite sure whose horse it is, and we really don't mind. Lives at my house.
That's fantastic. I've got 2 dogs and they take up enough space on the sofa as it is. I can't imagine what 6 horses must be like trying to watch.
Well, we have 4 dogs as well, so you can yes, you can imagine what that's like.
That's amazing. So over the years, you've of course been involved in loads of different businesses. There was a ceramics export business in Italy when you were 19. You've been involved in prize bingo at Butlins in Minehead, West Star Holidays. At what point did you think to yourself, I've made it?
I haven't really. I still don't, because I kind of don't think in those terms. I very much live in the here and the future rather than the looking back and saying, oh, are they, or that's done, because it's true in life, you're never done. You know, there's always more to do. And it's like, I always feel like once I've achieved the thing that I set out to achieve, next, you know, so there's never a moment you stop and you think, right, well, that's it then. I've made it, you know. So no, I haven't yet. I'm still doing stuff.
Oh, you have now. You're on the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Oh, well, I have. You're absolutely right. My answer obviously should have been the moment you asked me if I would join you on your show. There we go.
That's it. Now, you, of course, are a legendary dragon on Dragon's Den. You joined in series 3. Were you a fan of the show before that point? How did you first get involved with it?
So I had watched Dragon's Den and obviously interested because it was business. But I wasn't watching it every week. It was something I sort of dipped in and out of. And so when I got a call from the BBC saying, would I be interested in becoming a dragon on Dragon's Den? And I said, no, thank you very much. Love the show, but really not terribly interested in stepping out into the media spotlight. You know, I built a lovely private life of my own, and I don't need the media cutting across that and, you know, all of the stuff that goes with it. So I was pretty reticent, but they persisted, and I'm very, very glad they did. And eventually they asked me if I would like to do a screen test, which I did with Richard Farley and Duncan Bannatyne. Yeah. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And that was the moment I thought, oh, I really, really want this. So, yeah, so I wasn't, you know, I've never, it's a bit like Strictly, you know, I've never chased anything on television. It's come to me, and either it felt right, which eventually did, or it doesn't feel right, and then I don't do it.
Now we're now enjoying series 18 of Dragon's Den, so you've been on there for 15 series. Can you tell me what makes the perfect pitch? Is there anything in particular you're looking out for?
I mean, obviously the perfect pitch is a fantastic person with a great product, but very rarely do you get that complete picture. You know, so a good person being somebody who can explain their product really well, understands what their market is, can tell you how they're going to get to it, you know, and the product where you think, wow, that's amazing. But actually, you rarely get the two. So you kind of get a sliding scale between those somewhere. So, but I tell you what I do look for in a pitch. I look for honesty. I look for people who you feel, even if they can't present very well, do really get why their product is needed and who would buy it. You know, and also understand the gaps. You know, some of them, people who can say, look, I'm really not very good at that. That's where I need help. So you'll see me on Dragon's Den and say, what do you actually need? Because it's important that I fill in the gaps, you know, that I can help those in those areas that they're not so strong. So I really like honesty. I won't work with anybody I feel I couldn't trust. And, you know, I don't care how good their business was, I just wouldn't do it. So honesty is really important, and a clear understanding of their business, and, you know, a feeling of yeah, they get this, they can do this with a little bit of help from me.
I love when people are pitching to you, how carefully you look at the documents and the ingredients and the packaging to make sure everything's environmentally friendly and non-toxic and stuff like that. Is there really any excuse these days for things not to be? Have costs come down enough that it's beneficial for businesses to be environmentally friendly?
Well, costs or not, the consumer is becoming, the consumer's been aware for a long time, but actually the consumer wants to do something about it now. It's, it used to be, yes, no, I get that. I know that is really bad, but now people are asking, so what can I do? So the great news is that the whole environmental piece has come together with the consumer. So it makes good business sense to be able to say, because this is also ethically sourced, environmentally friendly, it matters to the consumer, and it often is a little bit more expensive. I mean, last week I invested in these glasses, which are actually made from recycled plastic. It does cost a little bit more, but actually the consumer is embracing that. They're saying, I think I said last week, it shouldn't cost the earth, products shouldn't literally cost the earth. So yeah, a little bit more expensive, but the consumer's definitely ready to pay for it.
I completely agree with you.
There is no excuse for at least not considering in your business. Every single business I'm involved in, we discuss at every single board meeting, what's our impact on the environment, what's our impact on society. And no, we're not perfect, but work towards we're saying, what is our goal? And every time we achieve something, it's right, what next? Right, we've got that in the bag, that's recycled, now what can we do? So I think as long as people are working towards it, then that's a good thing.
Over the years, you've made lots of deals and investments. How many are in your portfolio at the moment? Do you know how many you're working with?
I think 19 at the moment. So 19. But there are some more coming up on this series of Dragon's Den. So I can't possibly tell you how many.
I'm very much looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, but so 19 at the moment.
Now, can you tell me what happens after a show? How quickly do you start working with the businesses? Do you actually see each other that day? Is there a gap between each investment? How does it work?
Well, so on Dragon's Den, it's an agreement to invest. So then what happens, Dragon's Den reflects real business life. So what then happens, you reach agreement, you then go out and you do due diligence. So, all of the important stuff, is the patent really a patent? Is it really a company? Are there any murky things in the past they didn't tell me? Is what everything they said true? And that can take anything. If it's a startup business, the fastest deal I've done is 4 weeks. That's very fast for a deal.
Yeah.
But startup with not a lot of history to it, so there wasn't a load of stuff I had to trawl through. To some of the deals will take up to 6 months to do, because when you come out of the den, you find that there are complications that need to be sorted out. But I tend to, actually this business, I haven't yet handed the money over, but I'm working with them, assuming that it feels like the deal's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I start behaving. There is a point at which I start thinking this is actually going to happen. So I'm going to start behaving like it has happened.
Speaking of which, have there ever been times where after the show you found out that their numbers didn't add up and they weren't being entirely truthful, and or for other reasons, just parted ways?
Absolutely. I would say, in real business life, a lot of deals fall through, because when you get into the detail, it's not quite what you thought. So in Dragon's Den, a good series for me is when I did 7 investments and 6 of them happened. So 1 fell by the wayside. And a bad series for me is if I'll make 6 investments and 2 of them happen. So I'd say about half of the deals possibly won't go through. And that can be for various reasons. That can be because I find something in due diligence that isn't quite right. It might be, and this does happen quite a lot, is that they come out of the den and other people offer them investment. They see it on Dragons and think, oh, that's great, and the investee changes their mind.
Yeah.
So we're business people. Once we're out of the den, we're doing proper business deals.
And can you tell me how long a pitch typically lasts? Because obviously it's only minutes on the show, but can they last hours? Are they as long as you sort of see, or does a lot more negotiating sometimes go on?
No, so you see most of the negotiation, but the actual pitches, the longest pitch I've ever been in, I think was about 3.5 hours. It was a complex business. It was a good business. We were all interested in it. The longer it lasts, it usually means the better it is, because we're all interested. We've all got our angle. We want to find out what's going on. Shortest pitch I've ever been on is 11 minutes. So that's quite a span. 11 minutes to 3.5 hours is quite a span.
It really is.
But needless to say, the 11-minute pitch didn't actually get investment.
You've worked with a lot of dragons over the years. Who are your favourite to work with?
You can't ask me that.
I have.
You have. I to be honest, I'm friends with Theo, Peter, Sarah, Tej, Sarah Willingham. I don't know if you remember Sarah, Nick Jenkins. So some I've got respect for all of my fellow dragons, but some don't cross over to that friendship line. But many of them do, because we spend a lot of time together. But it's forced time. So, underlying that, you might come out of the den and think we've had a lovely time, but we don't talk anymore. Or you come out of the den and think, actually, we're in regular communication. Funnily enough, I was texting Sarah Willingham this morning. We've some have become friends.
Can you tell me some of your favourite investments over the years, and also just ones that, if people may have missed the episode, which ones should we be seeking out to find?
No, you can't ask me about my favourite investments, because that really is like asking me who my favourite child is. But I was looking at my portfolio, and I was thinking, actually, right now I'm really, and this isn't always true, but right now I feel really lucky because I like my investments. I like the investees.
Yeah.
I like their ethics. I like the way we're all of us working towards sustainability, and all of us want to. Most of them are donating to some kind of social cause or behaving in a social way, and I love that. It's a feel. What you've got to remember, Sarah, is I don't actually have to do what I do. It's got to make me feel like I'm making a difference and I'm doing good. I don't mean that in a do good way. It's just that I love business and I want to see business, transform things for the better. So I love it when I'm investing in businesses that want to be part of that movement. And I've got that at the moment. I've got Dock and Bay. Dock and Bay are microfiber towels. They came in microfiber. That's not great for the environment. And they came into the den, showing off towels, and me thinking, really? Towels? I know towels have been invented. I am never going to invest in this. But they were brilliant, and they talked about the social side of it. And they're now working to reduce the impact of microfibers on the environment.
Fantastic.
That's brilliant. Absolutely. And but I've got many examples of that in my portfolio. I give you that one, but that's what gives me joy. That's what makes me want to carry on doing Dragon's Den.
And were they the quick drying towels, if I remember correctly?
That's it. Super absorbent, quick drying towels. But and actually they were also around, but they just, they're just cool looking. They're not just microfiber towels. They obviously, I think they look really cool.
A recent project that I really love is Peace Art. I saw their projector IlluminArty, which I love the name of. I
know, isn't it brilliant? Actually, you won't be able to see. I've got my IlluminArty.
Have you?
Down there, yes. I'm going to be trying to draw my cat, who incidentally just came in as well. He might jump on me in a minute. But no, again, that was lovely. So she was fantastic. Did you watch that pitch?
I did, yeah.
Xena was brilliant. And I just thought, you've got something here. It's right now, there's a lot of mental health issues, and people need to be able to spend a little bit of time, mindful time. And I just thought it's a lovely thing to be involved with. It's what I was just saying. It's part of being something that can help people out of difficult times. And I thought, if anybody can make this work, Xena can. So no, I love that one too. But I'm glad you like IlluminArty. We thought about that long and hard.
Yeah, I really like that. And because I studied art and animation in university, and I still kind of do it in my spare time. And I love that it's a way of getting more people into art. And I just think art's therapeutic. If I want to switch off, I've always got painting stuff set up, so I can just go and do that. And
It's so true. And the thing that I missed, and Masterpiece has taught me, is that it isn't necessarily about the end result. You know, I used to sit down and think, oh, I've got to do this, blah, blah, and get quite stressed by it, but it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not a competition. You know, it's enjoying the process. That's what I learned, enjoying the process. And if it's half recognizable at the end, then, you know, brilliant.
That's it, because, you know, art is unique and it's an expression, and there's no wrong answer, is there? It's not like maths where it's either right or wrong. No, and some absolutely. Of the answers even then I'd argue with when I was younger, but, you know, it's just a lot of fun to do, and it's great that you're getting more people into that. And we have so many gift boxes that you can subscribe to now with food and all sorts of other things. I think it's great that you get some surprise art.
Me too.
Do you ever watch Dragon's Den back and months later and think, oh, that would have been a good investment, and have ever considered following up with something that you perhaps let go in the past?
So no, because I think it goes back to me. I look forward to things. You know, remember I was in the Den. I was given the opportunity. If I wasn't convinced then I'm probably not going to be convinced. You know, I kind of move on. There'll be other opportunities. Yeah. Actually, we shouldn't follow up. We don't follow up. It's one of the unwritten rules. You know, you either make your investment in the Den or you don't make an investment. I think it would be pretty out of order to turn an investment down on Dragon's Den and then ring them up later and say, look, can we do a different deal? That would feel slightly wrong to me.
Now, I was interested to find out that Dragon's Den actually originated in Japan, and that there's now been 30 different versions of it. Would you ever consider guest starring as a dragon on another show?
Would I? It would depend what was in my diary at the time and what I had to give up to do it. Because, of course, it would mean, well, for a start, it would mean travel to other countries. So, which at the moment feels like a far distant dream.
Really does.
Yeah, I think I would actually. I think I'd find it really interesting. One of the things I enjoy about dragons is there's a lot of relationships going on. There's the picture in front of you, yep. but there's also all, you know, your interplay with all of the other dragons either side of me. And I really enjoy that. So when a new dragon comes in, it kind of throws everything in the air again and adds a little bit of energy, because we'll have to work out, right, what are they all about and how are we going to win against them and things like that. So yeah, I do enjoy that bit. So I probably would enjoy, you know, going into a different setting, particularly being the newbie. You know, I haven't been the newbie for 15 years. You know, it'd be quite nice to do that. Yeah.
You might have to sit somewhere else.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I'd have to negotiate the middle seat before
exactly.
I agreed.
Now, in 2009, you released Common Sense Rules, What You Really Need to Know About Business. It was a book. Have you considered writing a follow-up or perhaps an autobiography?
No, I doubt I'll ever write an autobiography, because I find they tend to require a lot of personal information. So when I wrote Common Sense Rules, I can remember being pushed and pushed and pushed to include lots of personal stuff. And the truth of the matter is, and particularly when you're in a family business, everybody's got their own take, and it's not right or wrong. It's just everybody's got their own take on what happened, you know. And I can see a lot of autobiographies that have opened up unnecessary scars. And I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't want to be hurtful to anybody. I don't want to say anything that is going to break up things that really, you know, they're done, they're settled, they're dusted. So I doubt very much whether I would write an autobiography. I do think there are some things that I really care about that I'd probably like to write about, you know, environmental business, socially conscious businesses. So I think if I could get a bit of headspace, that's the problem at the moment. I'm quite busy. Get a bit of headspace. Like there's stuff that I probably would like to write, but I don't think it'll be an autobiography.
Fair enough. And in 2010, you were Liar of the Week on Would I Lie to You? Can you tell me some of the biggest fibs you've ever been told in the Den?
Oh, right. So first of all, can I just say I'm not sure I'm proud. I spent my entire life building a reputation for being straightforward and honest. So when they said I was Liar of the Week, I was a bit like, yeah, no. I wasn't quite sure whether I was pleased or not. So some of the biggest lies. Well, there was an interesting one. I actually never made the screens, but there was a business that came into the Den that failed to disclose that it had been bust about 3 or 4 times, and each time had left a trail of debt behind, and I invested. I offered, so it didn't disclose. I thought it was a great business. Two of us offered. I came straight out. It's a crazy thing not to be honest about, because the first thing we do in due diligence is check previous businesses, and check other directorships. It's so easy to find, and literally, I think it was on the same day. And if it wasn't, it was certainly the next day. I pulled out of the deal. Said, you've got to be kidding me, guys.
They must know that you're going to check.
But what do they think? They go, unless they thought that was real piles of money beside us and we just had it over. I don't know. Maybe that's what they thought.
I always wondered about that. Do you just put it in a bag and just take it home on the bus, or what happens with that?
Yeah, obviously I never leave home. I never, A, definitely always catch the bus, and B, I always carry my money around with me.
It's the safest way.
The only way.
It's the last thing people are expecting. Now, you were, of course, famously on Strictly Come Dancing with Robin Windsor. What were your favourite routines? And can you tell me, you're amazing, by the way. Can you tell me if you kept it up since?
Right. So I know my favourite routine. I will never forget Higher and Higher. It was the quickstep.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic piece of music anyway that I love. And it was I can feel it now. The joy I felt. The quickstep is a joyful dance anyway. It's a fast dance. So a wonderful dance to a wonderful piece of music, and you kind of skip around the dance floor. And I was so excited at one point. Robin you can't see it. Robin actually has to kind of shake me. There's this tiny little shaky movement. It's like, concentrate. I was like, whoopee! I'm having such a good time. So that was definitely my most joyous. And that was the moment I began to love Strictly. I really loved Strictly. And yes, I do. So I don't know if you know, but my husband did the most romantic thing while I was on Strictly. He could see how much I was loving it. Yeah. And he took up He secretly took up dance lessons so that we could do something together when I came out of Strictly, because, you go from dancing 10 hours a day to nothing. And we now still dance. We've actually focused on the Argentine tango. We've been over to Buenos Aires to learn over there, and we now do. Well, we've just started again actually, because of course we haven't been able to do it. We're only doing 2 hours a week, but at our peak we'll be doing 4 hours a week dancing. I
love that you've kept up. Yeah, it is such a joyous thing, and that sounds fantastic.
And I've got a busy life. If you're not careful, you kind of never spend face-to-face time with your husband, and it's 4 hours a week. Paul and I, absolutely nobody else in the room, obviously the dance teacher, but we're absolutely concentrating on each other. I said that on Graham Norton. He said, all right, Deborah, enough.
And so in 2013, you were on Room 101 with Frank Skinner. What would you put into Room 101 in 2021?
Oh, well, we all know what we put in Room 101 2021, won't we? Actually, there's quite a list of it. COVID, obviously. That's got to be the top of everybody's list, because, it's cutting across so many people's lives. It just needs to go.
You were absolutely brilliant in Murder In Successville. And I loved your improvisational skills, really good. Did you have any idea what was going to happen in advance?
I genuinely, so it got worse. So I didn't have a clue what would happen. I assumed that I'd turn up and I would be given some kind of direction. But no, they literally said to me, well, do what you feel like. Like, yeah, but do you want me to go with it? Do you want me to... Just do what you feel like. And at that moment I thought, I tell you what I'll do. I am not the funny one in the room. I'm surrounded by comedians. So what I'm going to do is play it absolutely dead straight down the line. And at the end of it, I was like genuinely irritated that Tom wasn't taking it seriously. No, I think that's one of my most fun days I've ever had. I had so much fun. I was permanently bewildered.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it, and you have a wonderful sense of humour as well that comes across in a lot of the stuff you do.
Thank you. I hope so. I always say I've got lots of laughter lines, and you don't get that without laughing a lot.
It's very true, or unless you look up at the sun a lot, which I imagine you do.
No, that's true. I don't.
Yeah. Now, you were also in All Round to Mrs. Brown's, and you dressed up as a dragon with Peter Jones. Can you tell me, do you still have that costume?
Well, of course. I mean, it's normally, that's what I would be wearing. It's only because I'm being interviewed now that, no, I haven't. It wasn't actually my costume. I don't actually own a dragon costume. I know that sounds odd, because of course you'd think I would wear a dragon costume, but I don't actually own a dragon costume, no.
Oh, you're going to love your Christmas present then.
Oh, thank you.
Now, here's a question that I ask all of the guests on the Sarah O'Connell Show. Can you tell me a fun fact about you, something we may not know, a hobby, a party trick, something like that?
Oh, yes. Not that I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not going to do it for you, but I do a very, very mean Edith Piaf impersonation.
This is very intriguing. And
I know. Every bone in your body now is saying, well, go on, Deborah, do it. But I'm not going to.
That's fair enough. Maybe next time. You obviously run lots of businesses, 19, as you've mentioned, and you dance in your spare time too, and you have horses. When you're not doing that, is there anything you love? Are there any shows that you love? I know you like Moulin Rouge and Shawshank Redemption, and you recently got into Gogglebox. What stuff do you enjoy doing?
I do. We actually do. Paul and I'm a potterer, so I'm in the office at home now. I don't have a very rigid day because work comes in when work comes in. I generally ride most mornings. I'm a much nicer person when I've been riding. So I'll get up early. I'll go over to, I keep my riding horses here. I've got rescues. I've got 2 riding horses over with my sister. I go over to see my sister's about half an hour away. We go out for a ride. I come back. I'm much nicer, have a cup of coffee, and then start work. But I will have gaps in the day and I'll go out and I'll have a potter around. We've got some rescue sheep sitting out in the grass out there, Indian runner ducks, a few rescue battery hens. And there's no point in having all these creatures around if you don't actually interact with them. So I will spend, I will literally, it makes me laugh actually sometimes because I'll be in these sort of quite serious business meetings and then I'll pick off and then I'll go out and have a chat with the Indian runner ducks. And then I'll come back and I'll have another very serious business meeting. And I thought, if only you knew what I'd just been doing. So yeah, I will go out and potter around a bit.
I love that. And so can you tell me what you're working on next? Obviously Dragon's Den Series 18 is on now. Is that all being filmed in advance?
So that was filmed, of course we filmed it on BBC Two and then it came out on BBC One. So that was filmed, we finished that last November, early November. In fact, we finished it the day that Manchester went into lockdown. So one night when we were in the hotel, we were in the Lowry Hotel. There was nobody else in the hotel. I was the only person on the top floor. And we ate in the darkened restaurant with the fluorescent lights on, all the chairs on. Anyway, that's it. So we finished that in November. And we start filming the next series of Dragon's Den in first week in June. That starts pretty soon. And between now and then, of course, I'm still catching up on some of the investments that I made in the last series of Dragon's Den. So yeah, it's quite busy.
Very busy. And can you tell me, do you actually film 2 series in a row? Because when one series finishes, they normally show clips of what's coming up in the next series as well.
Well, this is the thing, Sarah. The BBC like to call it one series. It's just shown in 2 parts. So yeah, we do. We film everything. It takes about 20 days to film enough to create a 14-part series, which is shown some in, usually it's the summer and the winter, but I don't know, on BBC One, I don't know how that's going to work.
Very much looking forward to watching all of that, especially when the nights draw in. Not that I've left the house in a year anyway. Now, you also support loads of really important causes and charities. I'm just going to list them now. Tusk Marine Conservation Society, the Medical Detection Dogs Microloan, the Roundhouse, World Animal Protection, Spanner, Lend with Care, WWF, Hoof, The Brook, Clean British Energy. And so should I be telling people to go to your website for more information?
Oh, yes, please. I've always got my latest projects listed on the website and what they're all up to. Actually, today I've just done a tweet out actually for people's vaccines. So this is, trying to get the message across that if the world isn't vaccinated, nobody's safe. So, you know, calling on governments, calling on the US government, calling our own government to make vaccines available for people across the world. So what I tend to do, I tend to have probably no more than 5 or 6 charities that I give my financial and time support to. So there's sort of, if you try to do too much, you achieve absolutely nothing. So they're sort of my main ones. But then, of course, things come in like the People's Vaccine for Oxfam, and you feel like this is really important. You know, I need to get on board with this. So they tend, those are the ones that kind of are a little bit more spontaneous.
And you've worked on lots of fun TV shows. Are there any that you'd love to be a part of?
What have I missed? So Strictly was my absolute, you know, dream. I really enjoyed Would I Lie to You. I would love to have done something like Murder In Successville again, although I'm not sure it'd be the same. Now that I've done it once, you know, I know what to expect. I think the joy of all of that was I thought, what's going on? You know, this is mad. I don't know. I tell you what I would love to do. I would love to do something, and it isn't, there isn't a vehicle for it yet, but I really would love to do something about the sustainability within business, you know, to show that there is some amazing work going on within business. You know, business is not the enemy. Properly harnessed, business can be a really good driver for change, you know, but it's a bit of it sounds like a dry topic. It isn't a dry topic because it's actually some really exciting stuff going on. I think if there was a vehicle for that, I would definitely want to get on board, but I only want to do television that I want to do. You know, I don't need to be on TV. I like to do TV that I think, yeah, that's me. That's what I want to do that.
I think that's a brilliant idea, and it's really important too. And fingers crossed someone watching this helps make it.
I hope so.
And have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell Show and your fans around the world?
Oh, any messages? Oh, I don't know. What? What do people normally say to that question?
They say all sorts of stuff. Whatever springs to mind. What do you feel compelled to say?
Do you know what I feel like at the moment? There's been so much awfulness around, and it feels like we're coming. You know, there's daylight at the end of the tunnel, and we need to embrace the future. You know, we need to look forward. We need to imagine ourselves out of all of this craziness and awfulness. Because I've seen some real fatigue recently, and people kind of, their shoulders were going down and they're thinking, oh no, this is life, and we get another wave. But humans are amazing, and we'll get through this, you know, and life will be joyous again.
I completely agree, and that's very well said. Now, Deborah Meaden, I'm out of questions, so I should be out, but instead I'm going to make you an offer. You are welcome back on my show at any time.
Thank you. And just ask and I will say yes.
That's the deal. So
it's been fun.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been an honour to have you on here. You've always been my favourite dragon, and it's been fun to celebrate your career and all the amazing stuff you're working on.
Thank you, Sarah. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
Bye. I actually enjoyed that, Sarah. Thank you very much. You're a good interviewer.